So good day everyone, I'm Joan de la Cruz and I am the second reporter po from the Legal Foundations of Education, Group 3. Okay, so my topic for today is the Legal Foundation, which is the Pambansa Bilang 232 or the Education Act of 1982. So this was an act providing for the establishment and maintenance of an integrated system of education. So in accordance po sa Section 2, this act shall apply to and govern both formal and non-formal system in public and private schools in all levels of the entire educational system. So ano po bang ibig sabihin nun? So ibig sabihin po, itong batas pambansa po na ito, na bilang 232, applicable po siya sa formal and non-formal, whether it's public or private, and sa lahat ng level. So what's the difference between formal and non-formal system? So when we say formal education po, it is a progression of academic schooling. So yun yung kumbaga nag-undergo yung bata ng from kinder or K to 12 program, from kinder, grade school or elementary to secondary or the high school. We have the junior high school and the senior high school. And then the next level is the tertiary level, which is the higher education. And then, ang non-formal education naman po, it refers to any organized, systematic educational activity carried outside the framework of the formal system to provide selected types of learning to a segment of the population. So, example naman po ng non-formal ay yung ALS, or yung Alternative Learning System, and also the homeschooling. So, ibig sabihin po, yung formal and non-formal, applicable po sa kanila sa atin itong batas pambansa. Next slide. The general provisions. Okay, Section 3, Declaration of Basic Policy. So, it is the policy of the state to establish and maintain a complete, adequate, and integrated system of education relevant to the goals of national development. So, ano kaya yung mga national developmental goals? So, the national developmental goals are, first one, to achieve and maintain an accelerating rate of economic development and social progress. So, how can we achieve and maintain it? So, by promoting the right of every individual to relevant quality education. So, pag sinabi natin every individual, no, regardless po siya sa sex, age, socioeconomic status, kahit sa physical and mental conditions, racial, political, or other affiliation po, no. Kasi, we all know through education, we can provide individuals with the skills and knowledge needed to participate in the workforce and improve their economic opportunities, which is resulting to reducing po ng poverty and promoting social mobility. Next, to assure the maximum participation of all the people in the attainment and enjoyment of the benefits of such growth. So, we all know naman po no, na education is a powerful agent of change. And it also improves health and livelihoods. And it also drives long-term economic growth. So, the state shall therefore promote and maintain equality of access to education as well as the enjoyment of the benefits of education by all its citizens. Then the next national goal, to achieve and strengthen national unity and consciousness and preserve, develop, and promote desirable cultural, moral, and spiritual values in a changing world. So the state shall promote the right of the nation's cultural communities in the exercise of their right to develop themselves within the context of their cultures, customs, traditions, interests, and belief, and recognizes education as an instrument for their maximum participation in national development. Next, so let's proceed to section 4, which is the declaration of objectives. Okay, so under that is the educational system aims to, okay, first one, provide for a broad general education that will assist each individual in the peculiar ecology of his own society. So, it means po na we need to provide the child with a wide range of knowledge, skills, and exciting experiences that they can draw on as their lives, careers, and job opportunities continue to change. So, bakit ba natin kailangan ng wide range of knowledge, skills, and experiences? Of course, first one is to attain his potentials as a human being. Second one, enhance the range and quality of individual and group participation in the basic functions of society. And the last one is acquire the essential educational foundation of his development into a productive and versatile citizen. Next naman po, na educational system aims to train the nation's manpower in the middle level skills required for national development. Third one, develop the professions that will provide leadership for the nation in the advancement of knowledge for improving the quality of human life. And the last one, respond effectively to changing needs and conditions of the nation through a system of educational planning and evaluation. So, according po kay Benjamin Bloom and Robert Major, they defined educational objectives in two ways. So, yung mga binanggit kong educational system na aims na educational system, for them, it explicits formulations of the ways in which students are expected to be changed by the educative process. And the next one, it intends communicated by statement describing a proposed change in learners. Next one po, the part 2 is the educational community. So when we say educational community, it refers to those persons or groups of persons or such or associated in institutions involved in organized teaching and learning systems. So what are the preliminary provisions? Section 5, Declaration of Policy and Objectives. It is likewise declared government policy to foster, at all times, a spirit of shared purposes and cooperation among the members and elements of the educational community and between the community and other sectors of society, in the realization that only in such an atmosphere can be true goals and objectives of education be fulfilled. So first one, aid and support in rearing the youth. So according po sa Article 1 ng Child and Youth Welfare Code, the child is one of the most important assets of the nation. Every effort should be exerted to promote his welfare and enhance his opportunities for a useful and happy life. So it means that the state shall aid and support the natural right and duty of parents in the rearing of the youth through the educational system. So later po sa ibang reporter, madidiscuss po yung right and duties of parents. The next, safeguarding the interest of students. So, The state shall promote and safeguard the welfare and interests of the students by defining their rights and obligations according po to their privileges and encouraging the establishment of sound relationships between the students and the other members of the school community. So, itong interest po, pasok din po dito yung rights nila ng mga bata. Right, for example, they can freely choose their field of study. So, kung saan sila interesado na field, yun po yung pwedeng gawin ng bata. Next, promote the welfare of school personnel. Promote the social economic status of all school personnel, uphold their rights, define their obligations, and improve their living and working conditions and career prospects. And then the last one, promote the viability of educational institutions. So, it needed to extend support to promote the viability of those institutions through which parents, students, and school personnel seek to attain their educational goals. Next, section 6, definition and coverage. So, who are the members of the educational community? So, we have the following. We have the parents. So, when we say parents, it can also be the guardians or the head of the institution or foster home which has custody of the pupil or student. Then the next one, we have the students. When we say students, those enrolled in and who regularly attend an educational institution of secondary or higher level of a person engaged in formal study. So when we say pupils, they are those who regularly attend the school of elementary level under the supervision of a teacher. Then the third one is the school personnel. So when we say school personnel, they are all persons working for an educational institution, which includes the following. We have the teaching or academic staff. So yung teaching or academic staff, whether it's either they are on full-time or part-time, they are the teachers, professors, instructors. Next, academic non-teaching personnel. So, sa academic non-teaching personnel naman, they are those persons holding some academic qualifications and performing academic functions directly supportive of teaching, such as, example nito ay mga registrars, librarians, research assistants. And then, the next one is the school administrators. All persons occupying policy implementing positions having to do with the functions of the school in all levels. So, example ito ay yung principals, assistant principal din po. Then, the last na school personnel ay ang non-academic personnel or all other school personnel not falling under the definition and coverage of teaching and academic staff, school administrators, and academic non-teaching personnel. So, example po nito ay mga school nurse, dentist, utilities, school clerk. Diyan po sila under. Then, the last na schools recognized by the government. So, lahat ng school, part din po yan ng educational community. Next, under the section 7, community participation. So, every educational institution shall provide for the establishment of appropriate bodies through which the members of the educational community may discuss relevant issues and communicate information and suggestions for assistance and support of the school and for the promotion of their common interest. So, a representative po from each subgroup of the educational community shall sit and participate in these bodies the rules and procedures of which must be approved by them and duly published. So, example po nito, during SIP, yung School Improvement Plan po, so, we all know na ang SIP it is a 3-year roadmap po of intervention undertaken with the help po ng community and the stakeholders. So, sino ba yung mga nasa ma-attend ng School Improvement Plan? So, we have the principal, the SELG, or yung Supreme Elementary Learner Government sa amin po sa elementary. And then, representative ng SELG, barangay or LG representative. Tapos, need din po dito yung teacher representative and also the parent representative. So, during community participation, which isang example nga pa yung SIP, so lahat ng mga nasa educational community ay kailangan po present din sa SIP. Next, so let's proceed na po sa rights of students in school, which is under the section 9. So, first one, the right to receive competent instruction, relevant quality education. So, yan yung unang right ng mga bata. So, principal duty or obligation is to ensure quality education. So, ano nga ba yung quality education? So, according to Reverend Father Joaquin Bernas, making sure that basic education is really solid, because if it is not solid, it affects the quality of secondary education. If secondary education is poor, then the person goes to college unprepared for college work. And if he is allowed to graduate again with a poor quality college education, he goes to university professional education even more unprepared. So, ibig sabihin po doon, makikita po yung domino effect, no? So, if nag-start ang bata sa foundation, sa basic education, which is yung elementary, kapag hindi agad maganda yung naging foundation ng bata, of course, pagdating niya ng high school, ganoon pa rin yung mangyayari hanggang sa maging college siya. So, ayun po yung batayan ng quality education. If sa umpisa pa lang, solid na yung foundation ng bata, hanggang sa pagdating niya ng college, tertiary, madadala niya pa rin yon. So, para magiging prepared, yung preparedness ng bata. Next, right. The right to freely choose their field of study subject to the existing curricula and continue their course after graduation, except in cases of academic deficiency or violations of disciplinary regulations. So, in every right po, meron ding limitations, of course, di ba po? So, like this one, exemption is in cases of academic deficiency. So, kailan ba nagkakaroon ng academic deficiency? Kapag yung student, he fails to complete a course with a satisfactory grade or pagbagsak siya. So, of course, hindi siya candidate for graduation kapag bagsak siya. And, pwede rin naman sa tertiary, failure to settle tuition fee. And then, aside from that, yung violations of disciplinary regulations. So, each school naman may kanya-kanyang rules and regulations. So, pati yung sanctions, kanya-kanya din kung anong pwedeng gawin if may mag-violate ng regulations. Then, the third one, the right to school guidance and counseling services. So, dito naman, bakit para sa yung school guidance and counseling services? So, para po sa decisions and selecting the alternative in fields of work suited to his potentialities. So, ang major aim po kasi ng guidance counseling is to encourage students' academic, social, emotional, and personal development. So, to reach this aim, yung guidance counseling services, it helps students to get to know themselves better. And of course, to find effective solutions to their daily problems. So, kaya malaking bagay para sa mga bata yung guidance and counseling services. Next one, the right to access to his own school records and the confidentiality of it. So, nakalagay naman po dyan, own school records. So, ibig sabihin po, the students, they have the right to go to the registrar's office and ask the copy of his grades, of his own grades. Kasi po, let's say, so ibig sabihin po nun, kung si Juan, bawal niyang hingin yung info about kay Pedro, yung mga school records ni Pedro, kasi ang right mo lang talaga ay yung sa sarili mong records. Kasi kapag halimbawa na binigay mo yung record ng ibang bata, mag-fall na siya under RA 10173, which is the Data Privacy Act. And then, the next right naman, the right to issuance of official certificates, diplomas, transcript of records, grades, transfer credentials, and similar document within 30 days from request. So, regarding this right, may nakita po ako na case which has the General Register number 132344. So, nakalagay po dito, no, within 30 days from request. So, kailangan ma-issue sa'yo yung mga certificates mo, TOR, grades, credentials, within 30 from the day of your request. So, dun po sa may case, University of the East is the petitioner versus Romeo A. Hader, which is the respondent. So, si Romeo po, he was enrolled in the Defendant's College of Law from 1984 up to 1988. So, sa first semester po ng last school year niya, hindi siya nakapag-take ng regular final examination in Practice Court 1, kaya naging incomplete yung grade niya. And then, nag-enroll siya for the second semester as fourth-year law student. And then, noong Feb 1, 1988, nag-file siya ng application for the removal of the incomplete grade na binigay sa kanya ni Professor Carlos Ortega. Kasi nga po, diba, hindi siya nakapag-exam. Kaya may incomplete grade siya. And then, nag-take siya na examination ng March 28, 1988. Then, pagdating ng May 30, sinubmit yung grade niya ni Professor Ortega. So, imagine, nag-exam siya March 28 pa. But then, yung grade niya, sinubmit ng professor May 30 na. So, ilang months yung lapses ng pagbigay ng grades. And then, yung binigay na grade is failed pa rin. So, in the meantime, the dean and the faculty members of the College of Law met to deliberate on who among the fourth-year students should be allowed to graduate. The plaintiff's name appeared in the tentative list of candidates for graduation for the degree of Bachelor of Laws as of second semester. So, yun na nga po, no, naglabas sila ng tentative list of candidates, then kasama si Romeo Hader dun sa mga candidates. And then, hanggang sa umabot na po sa point na nung graduation, nandun pa rin po yung name ni Romeo Hader. So, ibig sabihin, kumbaga parang of course, kung ikaw din yun, i-assume mo na kasali ka sa gagraduate. Kasi nandun pa rin yung name mo eh. Tapos tinawag ka rin sa stage. Tinawag yung name mo sa stage. And then, so yun na nga po, no, nakagraduate siya. Umakyat siya ng stage during graduation. Tapos, naghanda sila. Kasi nga, of course, alam niya talaga is okay lahat. And then, biglang, nalaman niya, nung mag-take na siya ng bar exam, na hindi pala siya nakapasa dun kay Professor Carlos Ortega. So, respondent sued petitioner for damages alleging that he suffered moral shock, mental anguish, serious anxiety, besmirched reputation, wounded feelings, and sleepless nights when he was not able to take the 1988 bar examinations. So, in its answer with counterclaim, petitioner denied liability, arguing mainly that it never led respondent to believe that he completed the requirements for a Bachelor of Law degree when his name was included in the tentative list of graduating students. So, after ng trial, uh, in view, the foregoing judgment is hereby rendered in favor of the plaintiff and against the defendant. So, yung school nagbayad kay Romeo, yung UE, nagbayad kay Romeo ng 35,470 pesos with legal rate of interest from the filing of the complaint until fully paid the amount of 5,000 as attorney's fees and the cost of suit. So, si UE elevated the case to this court. Kaya po ang nangyari, di ba? Petitioner si UE. Kasi nga, in-elevate nila yung case. So, nakikipaglaban sila na wala silang liability to respondent Romeo, considering that the proximate and immediate cause of the alleged damages incurred by the latter arose out of his own negligence in not verifying from the professor concerned the result of his removal exam. So, the negligent act of a professor who fails to observe the rules of the school, for instance, by not promptly submitting a student's grade, is not only imputable to the professor but is an act of the school being his employer. Considering further that the institution of learning involved herein is a university which is engaged in legal education, it should have practiced what inculcates in its students, more specifically the principle of good dealings enshrined in Articles 19 and 20 of the Civil Code, which states, Article 19, every person must, in the exercise of his rights and the performance of his duties, act with justice, give everyone his due, and observe honesty and good faith. And under Article 20, every person who, contrary to law, willfully and negligently causes damage to another, shall indemnify the latter for the same. So CUE is ordered to pay respondent the sum of 35,470 pesos with legal interest of 6% per annum. So, ayun po. So, yung kay So, pinakita po doon no, na yung kumbaga gumraduate na yung estudyante. Kung hindi pa siya magtitake ng bar exam, hindi niya malalaman na may bagsak pala siya. So, which is, I think, kasalanan din talaga ng petitioner kasi unang-una, in-informed ni Professor Carlos yung head nila na meron ngang isang na si Romeo ay bagsak. But then, nilagay pa rin nila sa list of candidates. Hindi nila natanggal. So, fault din nila yon. And then, hindi rin in-inform ng professor personally si Romeo Hader na regarding sa grades niya. Kaya of course, sino ba namang mag-iisip na bagsak ka pala? Although nakapag-take na siya ng exam, hindi naman siya sinabihan ano yung naging result. Tapos talagang nakalagay yung name niya kahit dun sa stage nung during graduation tinawag talaga name niya. So next, right, the right to publish a student newspaper and invite resource persons during symposia, assemblies, and other activities. So dito naman po, we all know school newspaper, it provides a platform for students, no, para makapag-express ng kanilang ideas and also their creativity. So it can help to develop their critical thinking skills. Moreover, it can be instrumental in building peer-to-peer relationship while shaping their perspectives, opinion, and identity. So, of course, tulad ng ibang rights, meron din siyang limitation. So, yung expressions that are contrary to law, public order, public policy, morals, and good customs which are characterized as obscene, vulgar, indecent, gross, sexually explicit. So, these are not to be tolerated but to be corrected. So, di ba kanina may mga limitations. So, bakit ba may limitation? Of course, to be necessary for ensuring respect for the rights and reputations of others. Then next, we have the number 7. The right to free expression of opinions and suggestions and to effective channels of communication with appropriate academic and administrative bodies of the school or institutions. So, ano ba yung mga freedom of expression? So, magbibigay ako ng example, no? So, example ng freedom of expression. Example, pag gusto mo mag-share ng views mo or seek out information online or offline, that is an example of exercising your freedom of expression. Pati na rin yung halimbawa, when you criticize your government for not living up its promises. Pwede rin. Next, when you question or debate religious, political, social, or cultural practices, that is also an example. Pati rin yung pag nag-attend ka ng peaceful protest or kahit na ikaw yung mag-organize ng peaceful protest, that is also an example of a freedom of expression. And pag-create ng work of art and even commenting sa mga news articles, that is your right. And then may nahanap din ako na another case which is General Register number 85839. So, dito naman, yung right niya to free expression, inabuso nila pala. So, we have the petitioners Emmanuel S. Licup, Noel F. Tabasa, and Joel Marcairo versus the University of San Carlos, Father Roderick Salazar in his capacity as President of USC, Eduardo R. Roca, SVD, in his capacity as Chairman of Disciplinary Board of USC Respondents. So, on April 1988, the USC announced an increase in tuition and other school fees by 9% effective the first semester of the school year 1988 to 1989. So, yung increase na yon ay to enable the school to comply with RA number 6640. So, which is by giving a mandatory salary increase of 11 pesos per day to teachers and non-academic personnel earning below 100 pesos daily. So, ngayon po, yung mga petitioners, they are the student leaders po. So, they were in the forefront of the students protesting the tuition fee hike. So, ngayon, the SSG of the university led by said 3 made representations with the USC officials to reconsider their stand. But they refused to roll back the tuition fees. So dahil po doon, nag-organize sila ng mass protest of students. So demonstrations were held. The protesters blockaded the entrance and exit gates for students in the university. Posters and wall statements expressing student demands were displayed. So, yun nga po, nagprotesta sila, pero, ang ginawa po kasi nila, hinarangan po nila yung entrance and exit ng gate ng university. Na, ang nangyari, yung mga, hindi naman nagpo-protesta ng mga estudyante, naapektuhan. Kasi hindi sila makapasok sa university. Kasi nga po, hinarangan. And then, on November 21, they filed an appeal for review with the Office of the DEX, which is DepEd ngayon. And then, on the same day, your regional director wrote them that said office had no authority over the case and suggested instead that they file a request for reconsideration with the USC president. So, yung mga respondents po, yung school, verify nila na yung student demonstrations were far from peaceful but was an illegal strike where the students utilized barricades and blockades to prevent a great majority of the non-striking students from attending their classes. That physical force, threat, intimidation, and destruction were employed to disrupt the classes and prevent the non-striking students from entering the campuses. That far from denying the rights of the students to freedom of speech and assembly, inallow naman pala sila na yung mga gusto magprotesta, inallow sila to use the stage room and audiovisual rooms for their meetings. Pero, mas pinrefer nila na doon sila gumawa ng protest sa entrance and exit ng school. Para nga ma-prevent yung mga non-striking students na hindi maka-attend ng klase. So that speeches were not allowed in classrooms as it would disturb ongoing classes and would be violative of academic freedom, likewise enjoyed by other students. So pati rin po yung posters, no, on university walls was prohibited, as the same should have the stamp of approval of the Student Affairs Office. They deny that the university security guards employed physical force in student demonstrators, and they allege that some students may have been injured when they threw themselves on the ground to prevent the school bus from entering the university campus. So respondents also averred that the administrative charges against the students were initiated to determine the truth and to afford the petitioners the opportunity to give their side. So the university handbook was given to the students upon enrollment, and they were made to understand that they are subject to the rules and regulations therein provided, and that, finally, the investigation was conducted in a fair and impartial manner. So dito naman, since meron kasi silang university handbook, so yung rules and regulations ng school ay rin po nila, violate po nila. Tapos yung freedom of speech nila, which is yung peaceful protest po, hindi peaceful yung ginawa nilang protesta kasi naka-apekto siya sa mga ibang students. So ito po yung example ng pag-abuso sa rights. So alam naman po natin, no, na that the students are entitled to the right sa freedom of expression, pero may limitations din po. Next, the eighth one, the right to form or establish, join, and participate in organizations and societies recognized by the school, or to form, join, and maintain organizations and societies for purposes not contrary to law. So, same lang din po yan, no? Doon sa yung unang right kanina. So, basta po kailangan hindi siya contrary sa law, public order, public policy. So, ang example po naman nito ay yung SELG for the elementary, Supreme Elementary Learner Government. So, organization yun. So, pwede rin sila, may right din ang mga estudyante para sumali sa mga club, like math club, science club. Pwede rin sila mag-participate sa Boy Scout, BSP, sa Girl Scout or the GSP. Then, the last right of a student, the right to be free from involuntary contributions except those approved by their organizations and societies. So, kaya nga po meron tayo no collection policy, but then, not literally na walang collection. But then, merong voluntary contributions. Example ng voluntary ay yung mga PTA fee, Parent-Teacher Association fee, and then, pwede rin na papasok rin po dito para sa mga voluntary contributions ay yung BSP fee, yung Boy Scout, GSP fee, or the Girl Scout. So, and that's all po. Thank you po for listening. Bye!